I got off the phone, and I was like, bitch, you better give me back my money. And then she slapped me in the face.
I was like, it ain't my kid.
That's right. That's what I said. She slapped me in the face.
Then you punched her in the back of the head.
Whoa.
Told her to like it.
I was trying not to see them.
Oh, that's on now, isn't it?
Oh, that thing?
Hi, hey, we're back.
The government is so invasive, isn't it?
Yeah, dirty bastards.
Big brother.
Bastards.
I know you're there.
On CBS this fall.
Oh, you're watching from the ceiling fan or something.
So, last week, during my little segment, we kind of had a little thing, Football 101. Just like a basic breakdown of, you know, some of the basic rules and regulations and scoring and everything in football.
That was super enjoyable.
That was kind of fun, and you know, I kind of thought it'd be a good idea to continue it since we was talking about it last week.
Well, we did promise that we would continue.
We did. So,
of course, Mario said that, you know, he didn't give a fuck if we covered it or not.
Why you gotta throw me under the bus like that, Ed?
I will throw you under a bus. Back it over.
What is this shit? You know? I've been feeling alienated for weeks. Like, I just don't know what's going on with these guys. They're just pushing me away. I don't understand. Unfreeze. It's between you and I. Sorry about that.
But anyway, this would be, I guess you would say, Football 102. Advanced Super Happy Fundamentals, Super Happy Fundamentals, Super Happy Fundamentals. Oh. But anyway.
Is it?
I'm going to kind of break down some of the basic offensive players, and then I'll go to you for some assistance, and then I'll go to you for some assistance.
Assistance.
No, I don't want assistance. I want assistance.
Oh, okay.
Well, yeah, point there, because when you cover the offense, there's certain points that you're going to be keying on that you'll need me to explain my part in that.
Yes.
And same thing with you. So
True. Yeah.
I will be the trench guy.
Yeah. The trenches and it'll be the Vox. Yeah. All right. So obviously we're going to start it off. If you're talking about offense, you're going to want to talk about the quarterback. Mm-hmm. He's your field leader. He's like he's basically the general, next to the coach, of course. He's the guy who gets the ball and passes it, the one who throws it down the field. He'll occasionally run it, depending on the type of player he is. Some of them more than others, like Tebow, Newton, Rodgers. They run it a lot. Vic. And then, I mean, you've got your...
Then you have Brady.
Right, you have Brady, Breeze.
Peyton Manning.
Peyton Manning. Eli Manning. Pocket passers who stay there, who don't crumble whenever people are coming at them, who stay there and pass no matter what. You don't see them run the ball a whole lot.
Real quick, I just want to mention something, and I want to ask you guys your opinion. It seems to me, watching football in the NFL this year, 2011 season, I've seen more times, and this is with the lockout, so I don't know how this equates, but I've seen more times where a quarterback drops back and is like, like too much time.
Yeah.
Like, oh my God. Okay, and no one's coming at him, I've seen that more this year than ever before.
Yeah.
Where they just have like all day to pass. And that ends up usually being a bad thing. Like, it's too much time. I mean,
it is a bad thing.
What's up with that?
I have no idea.
I don't know, but you are right. That has
amazing offensive lines or terrible defensive lines.
Possibly a mixture. But yeah, that's definitely something that has happened a lot. And we kind of talked about that at one point during like the middle of the season. But there has definitely been more of that this year than any other I could recall.
Well, it happens on occasion, but you start seeing a guy stand back there for like 5, 6, 7, 8 seconds.
Yeah. Like consistently.
Long enough to ride a bull, then that's not cool.
Right.
It's cool for the offense, but then again, it's not, because it's just the play's taking too long to develop. Mm-hmm. And it's like, plays are built on precision and timing. And when he stands back there for 8 seconds and he's trying to ride a bull, well, something's wrong somewhere else.
Yeah.
All right. Well, then, after your quarterback, you have your other one of your other main offensive weapons, which is your halfback. He's a guy who you generally see grab the ball from the quarterback and run it forward. Usually they go forward. That's the goal. Unless you're Sean Green, you run backwards. I made that funny.
The Jets.
Ouch, man.
Pain.
Ouch.
All right, but no. Generally, that's their main job is to run the ball. They're called the running back, and that's what they're supposed to do. But a lot of them, at least the good ones, are also a receiving threat. They also can run up the field and catch the ball too. So that's something that you've got to look for as far as a halfback goes, is their ability to be part of the receiving threat as well. And you've got your wide receivers, who is like the exact opposite of a running back. Their primary job is to run up the field and catch the ball whenever the quarterback throws it, but occasionally you'll catch them on a sweep where they'll run the ball instead. So it's
Like blocking around.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, there's sometimes blocking, there's sometimes being a decoy.
well,
You know, if you're going to run the ball to the left, you might send 2 wideouts to the right to distract the defense and send them out.
Yep.
Shift them the opposite way.
and while we're speaking of blocking, let's talk about tight ends. Primarily, on most offenses, this year's been kind of different, but recently, it's been, a tight end has been more of a blocker, and then secondary, they're a receiver. Well, this year's kind of turned that around a little bit. We've had more of the,
Gronkowski,
like Gronkowski, Graham,
Jeremy Shockey.
Pettigrew.
Right.
We've had those guys who have been primarily receivers,
Right.
and then secondary as blockers.
Yeah. Last couple of years, Dustin Keller.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's really kind of redeveloped the position these past couple of years, especially this year.
Well, what's great is that if you do that right, the tight end will come off the line and block somebody and buy the quarterback about 5 seconds of time.
Right.
And then run out to a pattern and he'll throw to him.
Well,
And that's excellent. You know, by then the DBs are back down the field covering the receivers,
yeah.
the decoys.
Linebackers are tied up
Yep.
on what the quarterbacks do. Yeah.
Runs right in the middle of the zone there and catches the ball.
Yep.
Which
Yeah.
I thought the Cowboys would do a better job of this year with Witten, but they have not done that.
Not really.
What happened with that?
And I wouldn't say that it's necessarily Witten's fault.
No.
It's just, you know.
The Rams have a big problem with their tight ends.
Yes, they
Do they
do.
block? Do they catch?
What don't they have problems with?
But I mean, as far as the Cowboys, I'm just saying that Witten has been a big weapon in the past, and then
Yeah.
they started accusing Romo of throwing Witten too much and having discord with the wide receivers, blah blah. And
Right.
now it's like he's not as much of a factor as he should have been, and they left that whole prospect on the side. Whereas the Patriots had Gronkowski, a record-setting season
Right.
for a tight end, and they are winning.
Winning.
So you know.
Yeah.
Then the one last offensive player who you really don't hear a lot about on any team, period, is the fullback.
Right.
Mike Allstott.
Yes.
Sorry.
Yes. Thank you.
It's not too often that you hear about the fullback making a big play.
True.
Dale Johnston.
Yes.
The Moose.
The Moose.
Generally, the fullback is kind of like a tight end in the respect that they're more of a blocker and then they're a runner.
Right.
The main time that you might see some exceptions to that is towards the red zone, where, I mean, generally your fullbacks are a bigger guy, not as big as like, you know, a tight end, but bigger than most of your running backs, your halfbacks. So they're going to be able to do a little more power running than a lot of the...
And you have, you know, and then back in the day, I mean, you've always had like certain players, I guess, like, I mean, most specifically, the newest one would be the guy in the Browns. What's his name? Hillis, Peyton Hillis. When he was drafted as a halfback, turned into a fullback, was at fullback. He was at fullback for his first 2 or 3 years with the Broncos. Made the turn to halfback. We all saw what he did last year, which got him to the cover of Madden this year.
And then
so now all of a sudden he's this huge power, halfback. But he's had injury problems this year. But I mean, you know,
But yeah, I mean, generally, it's your bigger, like bulkier, yet still fast and agile kind of a guy who's going to be your fullback. They've got to be able to stop, a 300-pound some odd guy barreling at the quarterback. But at the same time, they've also got to be able to move, like a halfback, get up the field quick and run the ball.
Well, what you say is a good point. Is like, you watch the basic offensive setup. Quarterback drops back to pass, he needs protection. You have the O-line, and you have the fullback. And sometimes the running back to pick up the blitz. But the fullback is very important as far as when the quarterback drops back, you need about 5 to sometimes to 8 seconds to develop your play.
Yeah.
And it's your job as fullback to make the block on the guy coming in, the loose guy off the end that they send on the blitz. So it's somewhat complicated, but really not. He has to pick up that block.
It's arguably the most important position on an offense next to the quarterback, and I think the left tackle. Because if you don't have somebody, covering your blind side on your line, because you think left tackle is over here. Most quarterbacks are right-handed, so their back is to their left side. They need that blind side covered. So you need Michael Orr. And part of the reason is actually
Sandra Bullock.
Yeah, Sandra Bullock, exactly. Sandra Bullock. If it wasn't for Sandra Bullock, we would have no left tackles. Hands down. But anyways, no, what I'm saying is part of the reason of that is because you have linebackers back in the day like, Lawrence Taylor, who, at the beginning of the Blindside movie, you see the clip where he broke Joe Theismann's leg because Joe Theismann did not have anybody worth a damn covering his blind side. So.
Well, the good thing is that mentioned in the movie The Blind Side with Sandra Bullock and Michael Orr, the true story for the Baltimore Ravens, is that it sort of brought light to the common fan of that there is a blind side.
Yeah.
They're like, what's a blind side? Well, now they know. So
just like a blind side when you're driving. You gotta check it when you're trying to change lanes.
Ahead of our Football 102 segment, it was kind of brought out there through a movie that, someone's got to protect the quarterback's backside.
I cried
the blind side. I love that movie.
I love that movie.
Awesome. But it's funny how such a great movie with a great story, a very inspiring story, and a true story, brings to light a basic position that you don't think about until, your quarterback gets killed 20 times a game.
Yeah.
Right. Or breaks his leg by Lawrence Taylor.
While we're on the subject of the quarterback getting killed, why don't you kind of quickly go over the guys who try to help keep that from happening and what their role is, Ed?
Well, you have the center, who's the guy that hikes the ball to the quarterback. And then on each side of him is the guard. Guard has been known as you're guarding the ball, you're closest to the ball. Tackle is on the outside of the guards, and they are all more of the perimeter blockers. And good defenses will throw a lot of stunts at you, and you never know who's coming. Their blockers may line up against this guy, but they can go block this guy. And that's supposedly this part's left open for a blitzer, which is a little confusing. But basically, the concept is, in the trenches, you have the linemen, offensive and defensive. It's the big guys that you said last week have ate all three of us into one person, and they're that big, and they're doing their job.
Yeah.
So when the ball is high, a lot of things go in motion, and you need the linemen they're the first line of defense to engage in the defense and keep you from getting this way. And the guards and tackles are very important also in the running game, because the running back is going to go off someone's butt. And the coach will tell you, hey, on this play you run off his butt or his butt or his butt, and
exactly.
And a lot of the times in those runs, it's usually the tackles, who cover the perimeter, who actually break off from that perimeter to run in front of and help out in front of the tailback to help out the fullback.
So you'll sometimes have a guard pull and run over and cover the block, while the tackle moves out and moves ahead for a lane for the running back.
That's why a lot of times you'll see the offenses will shift the tight end over to the side where they're about to run, so that way the tight end can cover where the left tackle's about to break off of.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? So
basically the linemen, they have two jobs. They're going to block for the quarterback and keep him from getting killed.
That's their main job.
And also to open up a lane for the running back.
Mm-hmm.
And once you open up the lane, you got to block down the field for the running back.
Right.
And I tell you what, a good play, when you watch a good play take place, and you break it down, you watch these things happen, the X's and O's of blocking, just simple blocking.
Yeah.
It's the most basic play in football is blocking.
Mm-hmm.
Besides tackling, is blocking. When you see it work right, and these running backs,
it's an art.
It is.
It's an art.
Exploit that whole thing, and they boom, 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 they're gone. 2 good blocks can free a running back 10 yards open.
Oh, I mean, you know,
and what do you need for a first down? 10 yards.
One of the best blocking wide receivers downfield, and you know, all you wide receivers out there in the NFL who are actually maybe possibly watching this, take a lesson from Hines Ward. Because Hines Ward is one of the best downfield blocking wide receivers in the game, if not the best.
And that's an attitude.
Yeah.
It's an attitude you take on.
It's an intimidation factor.
I'm not just here to catch the ball.
Yeah.
I'm also here to block
I play my position.
And
I
open
know
a lane.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So, when you know your offense and you know, that's like at our jobs. I don't want to just know my job. I want to know your job, and I want to know your job. How your job affects my job, and I want my job affects your job, because that's how blocking is. I know where you're supposed to go. So if my buddy over here blocks the first hole for you and you get through it, now you're on my zone.
Mm-hmm.
It's my job to get you open that next 5 yards. And if I do my job and he does his job, you're 7 yards down the field.
Right.
And that's how you get to move the chains. And like LaShawn McCoy in Philadelphia,
Gone.
Gone. Touchdown. 6 points.
Yeah.
It's, so the trenches are where the game is made at.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. That's where the fight
The quarterback can't do his job without the trenches happening correctly in front of him.
Mm-hmm.
So the trenches are one of the most important parts of football.
Yep.
So the trenches is where it's at.
Yes.
Now, on the flip side of that, you've got your defensive line, which is basically doing the exact opposite. They're trying to open up holes for the linebackers and everybody else to get to the quarterback or to the running back. They're trying to make sure that the blockers are busy with them instead of the next guy.
Exactly.
And then, like I mentioned, linebackers, why don't you touch on that a little bit, Mario?
Linebackers are essentially a defensive tackle mixed with a defensive back, a cornerback, which I'll touch on in a second. These guys essentially do a little bit of everything. You have your free runners, who are generally your middle linebacker. They kind of basically go towards the ball. They just basically find that hole. If there's a run, they find the hole in the defense that they feel like the running back's going to go to, and they run towards it. The linebackers also sometimes do a little bit of pass coverage. You'll see a lot of, especially Chicago Bears use their linebackers. They run a defense called the cover 2, which essentially is everybody's in a zone, which their zone is just maybe 5 yards wide by 10 yards deep. That's where they stay. They just stay in that little circle, and that's their island. That's what they protect. And you'll see a lot of times, like a Brian Urlacher, who's one of the better middle linebackers in the, ever to play the game. You'll see him cheat forward like he's almost going to blitz, which a blitz basically means that he's just coming at you. He's just on all cylinders.
Yes.
Yeah, he's on all cylinders, just running, gunning. Does not matter who's in his way. He's gunning for you. And that's just to throw off the timing of the quarterback, which essentially could mean you'll see a lot of the outside linebackers, which are, there's middle and there's a left and a right outside linebacker. And basically what the outside linebackers do, if there's a blitz situation where the middle linebacker is running towards the quarterback, these guys will break off and they'll cover a pass. And they'll just kind of sit around and they'll just wait for something to happen. Now, a lot of times these guys are dirty, they're nasty, they're big, and these are some of the hardest hitting. These are some of the hardest hitting players in the NFL, and these guys do not give a shit. They get off on hitting somebody as hard as they can.
That is true.
That's what they are taught to do, is to just completely destroy the person who has the ball.
Well, in general, people watch football, they think, hike the ball and get a touchdown.
Right.
No, there's a war going on.
Yeah.
There's 2 or 3 wars going on a football field at the same time. When the ball is snapped, a lot of things go in motion. It starts with the trenches, and like you say, the linebackers, if they cheat forward, the quarterback's like, okay, I can't go there. The quarterback's reading what the defense does.
Yeah.
So whether you're a linebacker or a DB, and you're that cheating safety coming in off the edge or whatever, the quarterback stops and reads what you're doing, and then he makes his decision based on what you just did.
Right.
If you cheat him and you fake him and you drop back, and he just made a decision to go here because you went there, it's all disrupted. But I mean, the cool thing is like these Cam Newtons and these Tim Tebows, they're the